following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Good evening. This is
Avi Bernard.
Very happy I am to be back in the United States and back on the network, even for so short a visit as this one. A lot of people asked us to do it again, so it's gratifying to get the chance now. Personally, I've never met anybody who didn't like
KBLA Talk 1580.
but it seems I do have a reputation for the uncanny. I'm an overpaid producer with pleasant reasons to rejoice, and I do. But surely my right to having more than enough is cancelled if I don't use that more to help those who have less. We must each day earn what we own. A healthy man owes to the sick all that he can do for them. An educated man owes to the ignorant all that he can do for them. A free man owes to the world's slaves all that he can do for them. If we can't die in behalf of progress, we can live for it. If we waste that gift, we won't have anywhere to hide from the indignation of history.
This is the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time with Avi Bernard.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
The dawn is hours before. We knew it. Somehow we do it.
The cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
And it is the Friday edition of Areva Martin in Real Time. Welcome in. I'm Avi Bernard with you every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Here's what you might have missed. A suspect has been arrested in connection with 3 of the 10 victims linked to the Gilgo Beach, New York murders. New York City architect Rex Herman is charged with the murders of 3 women whose bodies were found covered in burlap along Ocean Parkway in Long Island's South Shore in December 2010. The 3 women were between 22 and 27 years old and all worked as sex workers. The Biden administration today announced that it would cancel $39 billion of student debt owed by more than 804 borrowers whose debts have been outstanding for more than 20 years. The program is separate from President Joe Biden's sweeping student debt relief program that the Supreme Court struck down last month. But the announcement comes as the Biden administration looks to highlight its alternative pathways for delivering student debt relief in the face of that legal defeat. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., the civil rights icon and former presidential candidate, is stepping down as president of the Rainbow Push Coalition, according to his son, Rep. Jonathan Jackson. The senior Jackson will announce his retirement at the annual Rainbow Push Convention in Chicago on Sunday. Vice President Kamala Harris will be the keynote for the event, and a successor to Jackson is also expected to be announced. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2017. California voters will have the chance to remove language barring same-sex marriage from their state's constitution in 2024's general election. The California Senate passed a proposed constitutional amendment yesterday that would repeal Proposition 8, which voters approved in 2008 to ban the state from recognizing same-sex marriages. The state Senate voted 31-0 to repeal the proposition, with all but one of the chamber's 8 Republicans not casting a vote. California Assembly passed the measure in June, with 2/3 majority needed to place it on the ballot in 2024. The 2 black men who were allegedly tortured and assaulted in an incident by 5 Rankin County, Mississippi deputies and 1 Richland police officer spoke out yesterday for the first time about the January interaction they say left one of them shot in the mouth. Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker were at their residence on January 24th when they say 5 Rankin County deputies and 1 Richland Police Department officer entered without a warrant to conduct a drug raid. The deputies and officer beat the men, threw eggs at them, and shocked them with tasers for roughly 90 minutes while handcuffed, according to the lawsuit, which the men filed last month. The lawsuit is against the Sheriff's Department and related parties and seeks $400 million in damages. Hollywood is facing its largest labor action since 1960 as actors began a strike yesterday, joining the tens of thousands of entertainment writers who've been on the picket line since June. The Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild of America say their demands are meant to protect their members in an era of rapid change and uncertainty for the entertainment industry, brought on by factors like the proliferation of streaming, collapsing box office returns, and artificial intelligence. Going to get into those topics and many more with our contributors today, Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University and Danny Griffin, entrepreneur, educator, and motivational speaker. And there is also, we do our segment every Friday, What in the White Privilege? There's a lot of white privilege going around today, or this week, I'll say. And we're going to share it all with you because I'm glad that both Danny and Dr. Fletcher will be here for the entire show, the entire 2-hour show. And I wanted them to be here for the whole show because there is a lot to talk about. And there is just a lot of audacity going on right now that I cannot wait to unpack with these gentlemen today. And we're going to do that as soon as we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community, Oh, Chase, someone has to take the lead. They're showing, big business like Chase cares, and they're putting their money where their mouth is at. So it's good to see, big institution like Chase, giving a lifting hand, to the community, and you got to respect that. It makes me want to bank with Chase, and give them another look. If I go to another institution, I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right, Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
Need a fresh start? LADWP income qualified customers can get up to $15,000 tax-free to pay overdue water utility bills with the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program. Benefit amounts may vary and will not impact other benefits. Visit ladwp.com/cares and apply today. That's ladwp.com/cares.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I'm looking for fuel injector cleaner.
Right now, buy a bottle of Chevron Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner and get one free. Only at AutoZone.
Will it also help with my mileage?
Get everything you need to restore your performance in MPGs.
Get in zone.
Wait, is it good for trucks too?
Whatever vehicle you have, you can find the right products and parts at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the Evanon, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
And it's Avi Bernard with you every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., joined this week by Dr. Sean Fletcher, professor at San Jose State University, and Danny Griffin, entrepreneur, educator, motivational speaker. Very, very grateful for both of you being with me today. And I want to start with this suspect being arrested in connection with the murders, the Gilgo Beach murders from over a decade ago. And I wanted to talk about this because it's a white man who's accused of killing, I believe, all white women. But just the shock that people have when a rich white guy like this, who is an architect, a New York City architect, his neighbors describe him as quiet, and it's just remarkable that this dude has been just chilling all these past, 10, 12 years. And just the heinousness of these murders. Obviously, every murder is horrible. But this dude, on 5 occasions. So one of the women that he is accused of murdering, Melissa Barthelemy, on 5 occasions in the summer of 2009, after she had disappeared, someone in Midtown Manhattan, which is where this dude's office is, his name is Rex Herman, and Herman is spelled very differently, just if you're trying to look him up. So 5 occasions in the summer of 2009, someone in Midtown Manhattan, which is where Rex Herman's office is located, used her phone, Miss Barthelemy's, to make taunting phone calls to her family. And some of the calls resulted in a conversation between the caller, who was a male, who we now believe to be Rex Herman, and a relative of Melissa Barthelemy, in which the male caller admitted killing and sexually assaulting Miss Barthelemy. And how they caught this guy: male hair was recovered from the burlap used to wrap one of the young woman's bodies. And that DNA from that hair was found to be a match to leftover pizza crust that Rex Herman threw into a Manhattan garbage can in January of this year. So 14 years later, they get some DNA from a pizza crust that this dude was eating, and they can match it to some of the hair that was found on one of the young women's bodies. So I just wanted to have this conversation with y'all, because this man hanging out, going on about his business as a real estate investor, as an architect rather, and all this time, they've been looking for the murderer of these women, and he's been sitting right there in the area where all this happened. And so just want to get your take on this. Danny, let's start with you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Dr. Fletcher. This is a tough one, man. Doing a little research on this tragic story, I come to find, like, I was watching Quincy Jones, MD versus Matlock, with a little Murder, She Wrote. It was just nostalgic. The detective work was amazing. They stayed on task. We got evidence. We got burner phones. We got DNA, pizza crust. There's all this crazy stuff. And what I come to find out was that everyone thinks a burner phone is anonymous. It's not. They will trace the person that you call to, find out where you purchase it. You got all these cell towers pinging off. This guy had no shot. But
he remains free for over a decade, so he had a shot.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing: the grand jury was very significant in this case, because their cooperation, along with the steadfast detective works, got the killer caught. And I'm gonna tell you why. Without the grand jury, you cannot move forward continuing getting all of this evidence, getting subpoenas. You can't continue to do that. I mean, they were digging. I mean, you got 2 separate groups of cell phone towers that were pinging off. Come to find out, he lived in one box. Come to find out, he frequent another box. And the 4 cell towers. So the burner phones caught up to him. He had no shot with that. And then he is calling the family members, and he's making threatening messages. He's saying, "I killed your relative." I mean, this guy is a Looney Tunes, and he kept a job. And I'm sure people thought he was a model citizen and a great neighbor and a great citizen of this country. And all along, he was no good. And that's why you can't judge a book by its cover. That's why it doesn't matter what you do, what degree you have, what type of money you have, or where you live. You can be an evil person and be doing criminality behind closed doors.
You can't judge a book by its cover is absolutely correct. And that's the part that's most striking about this story to me, is that he was using the victim's phone to call and taunt her family members. Absolutely horrendous. Dr. Fletcher.
Likewise, always good to be on. I appreciate breaking down these issues with you two good brothers. So with this particular case, I got a lot of different thoughts that came to my mind.
I know you would.
And I try not, you know me. I try not to make everything about race, but if the shoe fits, and there are some variables here that strike my interest, I'm okay going there. So this struck me as like a Ted Bundy type of situation. Ted Bundy, many back in the 70s, he kidnapped, murdered dozens of women. I mean, serial killer to the nth degree, right? And many, by most accounts and documentaries, police reports, all that, that you see is that he didn't look like a heinous murderer. Mm-hmm. He didn't look it, okay? Now, tell me what quantitative or qualitative assessment can come off of that. That is beyond the pale of not judging a book by its character. It moves into bias, because I have yet to see that. I've yet to see that rubric applied to different groups. That's where my sort of disclaimer about if race fits, we sometimes have to sniff it out. I've only seen that in certain cases where there is an individual who fits the mold of what society says is a normal functioning individual. And that person almost has to pull a wreck situation and flaunt it to such an egregious standpoint that you leave them no choice but to investigate. So that's one thing that struck me, was how you can go this far and flaunt it in their faces without, over a decade, without being caught. That's one thing. The other thing that strikes me as somewhat of an ongoing issue, because we see it up here in the Bay, primarily in the Tenderloin district, those who aren't familiar, a district of San Francisco, where there's a lot of drug use, a lot of sex workers, there's a lot of policing issues, legislative issues, so on and so forth. And a striking parallel with these two women that were noted as sex workers is that we're also struggling with that in this area and across the United States to identify how to put parameters and safety measures, I'll say, around the sex worker industry. Now, whether you agree with it or not, that is not my point. My point is that from a policing and social services standpoint, we seem to struggle with what we do with sex workers and how we are protecting. We almost create this, and they've done it in the Tenderloin. They've barricaded this area of the city where they just kind of allow it to kind of be Amsterdam of the Bay Area. And that doesn't fly with me. So in these types of situations, while it may seem as an undercurrent, it struck me when I saw that they were sex workers, because we're seeing this major, egregious blind spot in our policing and social services system around protecting this industry, and they become ripe to be preyed upon, not necessarily by serial killers, but by those who ultimately may lead to something like this, even if it's assault. So there were a number of different layers to this piece, man, that would take a long time to fully unpack, but those were the two that rose to the top for me.
No, I completely agree, and I think sex workers are extremely vulnerable, and I think a lot of people kind of discard them. A lot of people kind of just dismiss them as not as valuable as the rest of us because of their profession. But obviously, they're human beings, and they're trying to make a living, and they deserve the same protection that everyone else deserves. So, well said, Dr. Fletcher. I wanted to talk about this situation in Mississippi. So, two black men, their home was raided. Their home was raided. The officers were looking for drugs, allegedly, and they tied these guys up, and then they just humiliate and assault them. They're throwing eggs at them. They're hitting them. They're shocking them with tasers. They found a sex toy in the apartment they tried to sexually assault them with, and they forced these two men to then shower together after that they had made them defecate themselves. And so now these two men they filed a lawsuit, and it's $400 million in damages. All of the deputies involved have either resigned or been fired. But just the utter disrespect and what those officers were doing to me. They just love to have power over us. They have these guys in handcuffs. I don't believe they found any drugs in the apartment or the residence. But whether you did or you didn't, what gives you the right to then go doing this for an hour and a half, torturing these guys? And what makes you want to do that? It's 5 white guys torturing 2 black guys who were tied up. 5 white cops. And this isn't some traffic stop or some incident where an officer is trying to arrest someone and they're resisting or not resisting, because either way you're in danger if you're a black person and they're trying to arrest you. But this was them already subdued inside a residence, unarmed. Obviously, their hands are tied behind their back, and they're just assaulted and humiliated. And so, my thought was, they're doing this because they love to have power over us. But I don't know if there's something else I'm missing. But Danny, what are your thoughts?
Well, oh man, here we go again. Same situation, different state. Different people involved with the game in terms of this is disheartening, man. And I'm gonna tell you why. We looked at the Memphis situation, and then you saw those African American police officers kind of put on an island, prosecuted very quickly. Loss of jobs, everything as they should be in that in that instance. Here, obviously, you're going to see a race card being played, as it should, but you're going to see that supersede the real issue here. A lot of people use race. A lot of people use the fact that it's police. We have to put it out there. A lot of people have issue with African American men. And as we can see what's been happening locally, it seems like African-American women as well. People just have an issue with us. And it's been going on for a very long time in this country. And you can see what's going on with France. It's going on globally as well. These officers had their body cameras off, which was free game, free play. That's why you probably saw the torture and how long the torture lasted, the antagonization, the taunting. And then an officer actually allegedly put a weapon inside one of the victim's mouth and actually fired it. Not, everything is yet to be determined. It's still under investigation. It could have been an accident that the gun went off when he put it in his mouth, right? Could be, or maybe he grabbed his gun. You never know. These are the things that they're just putting it out there. No cameras, no evidence. We have to let the jurisdiction, the presiding jurisdiction, the sheriffs take over. And this is about 26 minutes from Jackson. They don't hold African American people in high regards in this area for decades, okay, for a very long time. And, poverty, they say literacy rate, whatever it is. They just because a person is down don't mean you kick them. We need justice for our brothers and sisters in the South, as well as progressive larger cities. But particularly, I'm reading this case, and it's like 100 people showed up here and there, and it's not as viral as it should be. I'm glad we're bringing it to the forefront.
I had to dig to find this story.
Yeah, this is bad. I had to dig too.
It was not readily available. It's not on any of the main pages of any of the major news websites.
It's like they still getting away with it. You know what I mean? And it's like we're the people. We're the same people, from all these other big cases. You know what I mean? I mean, we gotta bring some attention to this. I mean, we gotta dig to find this out. I'm looking at the pictures, the imagery from the hospital bed. I mean, these injuries are very significant. Money's not gonna take care of this issue. Have you noticed how many settlements does it take to end the pain? Does a settlement stop the bleeding? I say no, because the Ron Settle case out here in the early 80s with the football player from Long Beach State and Banning High School, rest in peace, Ron Settles. Johnny Cochran was a lawyer at the time. He took that case, and we're almost 40 years later, we're still settling. So is money the answer to police brutality? Beat me, but pay me. Kill me, but pay my family? At some point, this has to end. And I'm glad we're bringing this to the forefront today, this case. And I'm researching it, but I can't find enough. And where's these ambulance chasers and poverty pimps?
We're gonna have to hold your thought on that one, Danny Griffin, as we got to step aside for a quick second, and we'll get Dr. Fletcher's thoughts on the other side. Dr. Fletcher needs several minutes, and we want to provide that to him because we do enjoy his perspective. And we'll get into this topic a little bit deeper, and also we're gonna discuss some extreme white privilege. We got some audio clips for you after this news, traffic, and sports update on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Civil rights legend Reverend Jesse Jackson is stepping down from his position as president at the Rainbow Push Coalition. Politico.com reports the news comes from his son Jonathan, who is an Illinois state representative for the 1st District. Jackson plans to make a formal announcement this Sunday at the organization's convention in Chicago. A brutal heat wave is affecting millions of Americans from the West Coast to the Gulf Coast. Today, the National Weather Service issued heat warnings and advisories for more than 90 million people. Temperatures are expected to reach anywhere from 105 to 115 degrees from the Great Valley of California to the desert Southwest. Krispy Kreme is selling a dozen donuts for 86 cents today in honor of its birthday. Customers who buy a dozen donuts at regular price can get a dozen original glazed donuts for just 86 cents. And that's the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In Granada Hills on the 405 South, just south of Rinaldi Street, just got a report of a brand new crash trying to make its way over to the right shoulder. Roscoe Boulevard at Haskell Avenue got a report of a fire in an industrial plot. You will see a lot of smoke as you make your way through that area. And in West LA, 405 northbound, right at the Wilshire Boulevard off-ramp, had a crash in the lanes. They got it to the shoulder.
Duran Duran returns to Yalmava Theater August 20th. The British rockers will electrify audiences with hits like Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf. Tickets now on sale at YalmavaTheater.com. Duran Duran, live at Yalmava Resort and Casino at San Manuel, August 20th. Must be 21 to enter.
This This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chicago Bulls were granted a $10.2 million salary exception for former UCLA star Lonzo Ball. That gives the Bulls the right to fill Ball's roster spot with another player. A third knee surgery will force Ball to miss all of next season. He has not played since January 14, 2022. The Chargers open camp on July 26 in Costa Mesa. Day one for the Rams is July 29th at UC Irvine. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds. In honor of the 10-year anniversary of Black Lives Matter this weekend, we're going to rank the best movements of social activism in the sports world. You can give us your opinion as well during the show. Hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Black Lives Matters turns 10, and KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to be the exclusive media partner of the People's Justice Festival. This Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. in Leimert Park. Come join us as we celebrate the life-saving and history-making work of Black Lives Matter to help bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. There will be live music performances, a children's village, giveaways, vendors, a healing justice space, Skillshare, and amazing speakers including Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West, live on stage at 4:30 p.m. For more information, go to blmgrassroots.org. That's www.blmgrassroots.org. Dominique DePrima and Tavis Smiley will be main stage hosts throughout the day, and the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation will be out in full force. So, join us this Saturday, July 15th, 12 to 6 p.m. at Leimert Park as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Black Lives Matter. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Plant my seeds, now I'm rooted. Brown skin popping, I'm rooted. Can pull the hood out me, I'm rooted. Rooted, nappy head, rooted.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
And it's the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. So glad to have you with us. It's Avi Bernard, joined by Danny Griffin, educator, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker, and Dr. Sean Fletcher of San Jose State University. Wish you guys could have been with us during the break. Me and Danny and Candy Andy in here having some deep side thoughts. Also want to remind you that that Black Lives Matter turns 10. The People's Justice Festival is taking place tomorrow, July 15th. Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m. right here, right next to the radio station in Leimert Park. Performances by Children's Village, giveaways, speakers, Skillshare, healing justice space, and also Tavis Smiley and Dominique DePrima will be on stage for most of the day. And I believe Cornel West will be there as well. And so, although I do not agree with his candidacy at all, not one little bit, he will be here, and maybe you'll have a chance to have a conversation with him about that. So we're talking about this this case in Mississippi. And by the way, welcome if you're joining us on YouTube, or if you're listening via the free KBLA 1580 app, or on traditional terrestrial radio 1580 AM in the city of LA, right here with us. If you want to join this conversation, give us a call, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. All right, Dr. Fletcher, you've had plenty of time here to kind of tee this up, and and so I want to get your thoughts on this case.
Run down my 10-point presentation.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it. That's why I love having you on the show, and just really just calculated, just precision on how you give it to these people. So, well, we're talking about, for those who might just be joining us, 2 black men who were allegedly tortured and assaulted by 5 officers or 6 officers, 5 from Rankin County, Mississippi, and 1 from Richland, Mississippi. And they were in their place of residence. They were handcuffed, and these officers assaulted them and tortured them. And now those officers are being sued for $400 million. And so, Dr. Fletcher, take it away.
Well, a couple of things. I'll pick up where Danny sort of left part of his point, and then I also want to touch a little bit on what you mentioned, Avi, around the cause. Maybe is it power? Is it race? What is it? The issue, part of what Danny mentioned in terms of what is it going to take, and is it a money issue? And I think you're absolutely correct in that clearly money is not the solution for it. There was something that Benjamin Crump, famed civil rights attorney, mentioned when George Floyd's family was awarded that record settlement, $27 million, a couple of years ago. And he said that settlement sends a powerful message that Black lives do matter and police brutality against people of color must end. Well, we're continuing to see that that's not the case, and that many of these lawsuits, the ones that are actually made public, because many of these settlements are private, aren't a deterrent at all. They don't substitute for systemic overhaul and changes. Because if that were the case, there have been many record-breaking settlements that we've seen. Because if that were the case, it wouldn't have just been George Floyd's family. Breonna Taylor's family got $12 million. It would have been Laquan McDonald. It would have been Freddie Gray. It would have been Philando Castile. If those were going to be deterrents, then we would have seen that. So I fully agree. It's not money that's going to do it. Now, what's in the hearts of these sadistic guys who do these types of things, I don't claim to understand that. But what I do believe, and there's evidence of it, that is both race and it's power that's involved in it. What we talked about last month when the DOJ's report on the Minneapolis Police Department, that underscores race was significantly involved in some of the issues that they saw police department wide. Certainly it's a power issue, but where for those who will say, oh, Dr. Fletcher, Danny, I'm always talking about race. Well, there is a power element that's indiscriminate of race, I believe, involved too, because when you bring in Tyree Nichols' death, those were 5 black police officers who were charged in Memphis. So again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that saying is certainly in vogue across the board. And that leads me to my last point. The conversation comes back up again about policing in America. Is reform enough, or do we have to tear it all down or reimagine policing in America? Unfortunately, we still haven't gotten to that answer. I don't think that a total reimagination is in fact realistic. Nor do I believe that the political winds are going to allow that. Is reform? Can you retrofit a torn down, corrupt system? Probably not. I wish I had a great answer. I don't. But those are just sort of some thoughts that are on the top of my head.
Let's go to Lewis calling in from Long Beach. Lewis, you are on the radio. Welcome. What's on your mind?
I'm not very expressive. I'm going to try to express my comments in a coherent fashion. My idea is that we're going way past, Black America's gone way past time to get this stuff corrected. and I have a method which I believe can get it corrected. First of all, we'll get the nationally unity march on the White House in mass and let the president of this country know that we're tired of this shit.
Oh, we're gonna have to pause you there. We're gonna have to pause you because we are live on the radio, and we do have to watch our language here, and so I'll give you one more opportunity to continue.
Me or me, I can say
No, you can continue, but if you do that again, I'm gonna have to disconnect you.
Understood. As I said, we need to get a uniform nationwide protest march on the White House and let these people know that we're tired of this. We aren't going to take it anymore. And if the administration can't get the DOJ to fix it, then we're going to have to take another procedure.
Okay, so your solution is a march and then getting the DOJ to police all of these things. So, but that might be a positive step. But how do you combat this? Is happening in different towns across the country. The DOJ can't be there.
The whole United States,
mm-hmm.
The whole of the United States.
Right.
Top to bottom, all over. And the sooner we get that, until we get that done, it's not going to change. And if we can get that done and it doesn't change, then we have to go back to burning.
Back to burning. All right, Lewis. Well, I appreciate your call and thank you for sharing your perspective with us today. I don't think going back to burning is the solution. We're always the ones who get the wrong end of that anyway.
Oh yeah.
And so we got to find alternative methods, and we definitely have to work together, and we have to work with our allies. We do have allies, and we have to. I think, I think you're onto something there, Lewis. I don't know that the DOJ can police these things all around the country at all times, but I think that instead of being fired or being forced to resign, these officers there have to be stricter punishments. And these officers should not only be charged, but they should be charged with hate crimes. And I think the more that officers of the law face the consequences of the law that they are supposed to be upholding, these things will start to happen less. And there is a lot of hate in the world, and I don't know if it'll ever be gone, but at least if these officers know that if they do something like this, not only are they going to lose their job, but they're going to end up in prison, then you'll start to see this happen less and less. So that's what I got right now. That's all I got right now. And I think we have to just continue to hold these people accountable. We got some people commenting on YouTube here. Let's see. Fahima says, you're absolutely right. And it continues because there are no consequences. If they were personally held accountable, it would stop. Howard Graves says, in my opinion, the cycle just keeps on repeating itself with police brutality. You can't change someone's heart or motivation. And Kwamel Allah says, gotta love when things are done to us, and it's always a game of nothing to see here. Right. And he also says the issue is they're just evil, wicked, and sadistic like that, but think they have racial innocence. All right, we've got let's see if we can get Steve in here. Steve is calling from LA. Steve, what's on your mind?
Hey, gentlemen, I'm really enjoying this discussion as a retired attorney who used to represent municipal entities in situations like this. And here is something that I think will provide an incentive to get cities and states to get off of their behinds and stop just subsidizing this.
Mm-hmm.
If the insurance companies and the excess insurance companies that fund these settlements, which we mistakenly regard as justice, were somehow precluded from doing so because it's against public policy to subsidize police misconduct, which is what they do. And if the cities and municipalities and states are left with having to go into their general funds to make these settlements and deplete budgets and hit taxpayers in the pocketbook because these entities are unwilling to change police misconduct, then there won't be this spill a drink, mop up a drink, spill a drink, mop up a drink type of mentality that we have, which essentially, to me, is saying that society prioritizes and is okay with these abuses happening so long as there's a bottomless pit of indemnification money to settle these cases and promote so-called justice. It's a spinning wheel. It's unjust. It's unfair. And I'm not saying anything to talk badly about plaintiffs' attorneys who do their legal jobs and get settlements. I understand that. But let's not equate this with justice. My thinking is, if I got a dangerous condition at my house and people keep falling down and I don't fix it, my insurance company isn't just going to indemnify my liability ad infinitum. They're going to drop me. They're going to drop me. And what these damn cities do is, I'm sure we citizens never hear that the insurance companies and the excess insurance companies and the comprehensive general insurance companies, they up the premiums to the cities. The cities pay the increased premiums because the cities are becoming bad risks. And you never hear diddly squat about an insurance company saying, forget this. We're not going to indemnify you anymore. You're not complying with consent decrees from the federal Justice Department. You're still getting your federal subsidies from the Justice Department. This is a rat in a cage spinning a wheel. So basically, to wrap it up, if insurance companies by city councils, state governments are told, look, you need to do something about paying for this and through your insurance, and not really rolling up your sleeves and saying, cops, stop this stuff, or we're not going to defend you. We're not going to indemnify you. As a matter of fact, we're going to join the plaintiffs and file cross complaints against you for this bad faith misconduct. So if we civilly draw down on your behinds like these plaintiffs are, and we tell these insurance companies to stop indemnifying these officers, I think the police unions will then think about making a change here. But as long as these settlements come in, and again, I don't want to knock the settlements too much, but they aren't justice. They don't change the way police behave. If I know that if I slap you, I'm going to get indemnified and a free lawyer and 15,000 citizen complaints go in my file, and I'm still going to get defended and indemnified, what the heck incentive do I have to stop? And that's the point of these police unions and associations. They tell the cop management, hey, look, if you don't indemnify Steve, well, then you know what? We're liable to call a general strike on your behind. So, but it's against public policy to insure against borderline criminal conduct. You smash your car up and your behind is drunk, your insurance company isn't going to defend or indemnify you because it's against public policy to be drinking and driving and hurting people. Same thing with cops. All right, I'm going to stop now.
No, Steve, I appreciate you so much. You got Andy in the control room clapping. You got all of us over here saying amen. And I wish if I could post a meme right now on the screen, it would be the meme of Step Brothers saying, "Did we just become best friends?" Yup. Because Steve, I appreciate you, and I want you to call in again. I want you to go. We're on every Friday, so call in again next week or the week after, whenever you feel like it. Appreciate your comments, Steve. 800-920-1580. 800-920 is the number to call.
So stop indemnifying wrongdoing. That's all I'm saying.
No, I hear you, and I think we all agree. And your facts. You know, like those magicians that just kind of keep pulling the rope out of something and the rope just keeps on coming. Like, that's what your facts were. Your facts just kept on like coming, and I thought there was going to be an end, but you didn't. And you came with another fact, another point. So shout out to you, Steve. Thank you for that. We do have to step aside for a quick break here, and we'll get into what in the white entitlement on the other side on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame.
I'm James Alexander, a proud member of AARP. 1967, I was 17. That spring, my friends the Barcades and I made Soulfinger. It was a hit. Number 3 on the charts. That summer, we became the great Otis Redding's band. First gig, the famed Apollo. That fall, we toured. That winter found me in a morgue identifying the bodies of my bandmates and Otis Redding. My music and their memories bring me joy. The Barcades forever.
What would you call a joy that is as solemn as it is sweet and knows no bounds? A joy that's beautifully rooted in soul and resilience. This is Black joy, a joy that reflects pride and honor despite every challenge. AARP believes the power of Black joy is limitless, and we celebrate this joy supreme. Join us in celebrating Black joy at aarp.org/blackcommunity.
To my hometown, my community. Some of you have known me my whole life. Do you notice anything different about the kids in the neighborhood? Ever paid attention? You might start with gifts, money, attention. These are signs. Child trafficking is happening right here in this town. So don't just watch through the window. Pay attention. Because the more we know, the more we'll all know to say no. Learn the signs to look for and how to help at no-to-say-no.com.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're back on the Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time, joined by Dr. Sean Fletcher and Danny Griffin. And just 2 words to finish off that discussion: qualified immunity. Need to end qualified immunity.
Yep.
And so
that's the exact thing I was looking at, Avi.
Yep.
The exact thing I was looking at. As Steve was talking, that's the exact thing I started to think about. Is because ultimately that's basically what Steve was getting at, just a parallel of it, is ending those protections. So you're absolutely right.
Exactly. So let's get into our weekly Friday segment. It's when we examine situations and people exhibiting extreme privilege that can only come from a certain type of person.
It's white.
So this is an actual congressman on the floor of the House, and let's hear what he has to say. Andy?
Arizona.
Well, Mr. Chairman, though that was unbelievably inspiring, my amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment. We want the best of the best. We want to have standards that guide who's in what unit, what they do. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, they are not doing this because they want the strongest military possible. I hope my colleagues on the other side can understand what we're doing. Thank you so much.
Mr. Speaker, it's going to be recognized to have the words colored people.
For what purposes generally seek recognition?
I'd like to be recognized to have the words colored people stricken from the record. I find it offensive and very inappropriate.
Is the gentlelady asking for unanimous consent to take down the words?
I am asking for unanimous consent to take down the words of referring to me or any of my colleagues as colored people.
For what purpose is the gentleman from Arizona?
Can I amend my comments to people of color?
The gentleman wishes to amend his comments.
It's the best part right here.
Is the gentleman asking consent?
Mr. Speaker, to have the word stricken. I didn't ask for an amendment.
Is there unanimous consent to have the word stricken? Without objection, so ordered.
I didn't ask for an amendment. I said I want them stricken. No, you can't take it back. So that's Rep. Eli Crane who called us colored people like it's 1911 or something. And then that's Rep. Joyce Beatty from Ohio, who went in and checked him on the House floor in front of everybody. And then as you saw, without objection, or as you heard, without objection, so ordered. Yes, it is stricken from the record. No, you can't take it back. But just why I wanted to highlight this as part of what in the white privilege is because for you to be that oblivious, and you said colored people didn't even hesitate, kept on going, and then it wasn't until later when you saw that she was upset and everyone in the chamber was kind of agreeing, like, yeah, you kind of messed that one up. Then you tried to come back and say, oh, can I change it to people of color? I don't think you would have changed. You would have tried to change it if you hadn't had gotten that reaction, even if you had realized that you had said that and it was offensive. And so you have to have a certain kind of privilege to be able to be a congressman and still be calling us colored people and think it's cool. That is why Rep. Eli Crane of Arizona is the subject of this week's What in the White Privilege.
It's white.
And Danny and Dr. Fletcher, I'll give you a chance to comment on in the next hour if you want. We're pushed up against a news, traffic, and sports update here in a second, but I'll absolutely give you a chance to weigh in if you like when we come back. That's the beauty of having y'all here for the whole show. And so right after this news, traffic, and sports update, more with Dr. Fletcher and Danny Griffin, and we're going to be talking about also, I got some more audio for you. I got some more white privilege for you. The next one's even worse. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Civil rights legend Reverend Jesse Jackson is stepping down from his position as president at the Rainbow Push Coalition. Politico.com reports the news comes from his son Jonathan, who is an Illinois state representative for the 1st District. Jackson plans to make a formal announcement this Sunday at the organization's convention in Chicago. A brutal heat wave is affecting millions of Americans from the West Coast to the Gulf Coast.